Hey everybody, welcome to Bura. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about the time I made $14,000 of passive income in 1 month. Alright, welcome back. Before I start this video, I want to make sure you like and subscribe. The more likes and subscribers we get, the more content we can make. So, there was a time in my life where I made $14,000 of passive income and I basically played video games for an entire month. Now this sounds too good to be true, but there's a huge lesson and there's a bit of a story behind it. So let's talk about what happened. So this was back in 2012 when I started the e-learning segment of my business, Mammoth Interactive. Before that, I was making iPhone games and I've had some success, but not the real success I wanted. In fact, I have a really funny story about how I tried making tutorials a year before and it didn't really work. More on that later. But what happened was that I made one course on how to make games and then I made another course on how to make apps. And what happened was I was put in one of these deal sites and that deal sites made me a ton of money. It was absolutely amazing. So it was so awesome because I had made one course and because I know how to not only make games but education content and video content, I made another course really quickly. So at this point in time, I received a check for, no joke, $14,000 and it still continued to make money after that. But here's the thing, at that point in time, I was extremely burnt out because for about maybe 18 months prior to this, I was working so incredibly hard. I was working basically all day, every day. In fact, I actually got swine flu in the swine flu pandemic and I was out for 6 weeks. It was very challenging. I almost had no money in my bank account when I had that $14,000 check came in. So by the time I received this $14,000 check, I was extremely burnt out. I was burnt out from making a ton of apps, working several jobs, and making the tutorials themselves. So I decided to take literally a whole month off. Now at this time, Mass Effect 3 came out and I literally played the entire game for a whole month. I would wake up, play the game, maybe do a few other things, maybe go to work out, play some Ultimate Frisbee, and then go home. I almost did no work for a month. And this is something that I really enjoyed because I needed to take a break. Remember that this $14,000 check just didn't magically appear. I worked really hard for it. And all that hard work for the previous 18 months was culminated in one $14,000 check. So for that month, I pretty much did nothing. I continued to make passive income, but once that month was done, I needed to get back to work. In fact, if I had worked maybe just a little bit harder, I probably could have made an extra $20,000 or $30,000 if I made another course that year. But I really needed a break. I can't tell you how hard it was to basically work and intern at my own startup to get to that point. Now, a lot of people never get to that point, and I understand that, but for me, I definitely needed to take a break. And this is something that I always recommend that you do if you've been following this channel, is you always need to take a break. In fact, I think the best way to work is to sprint really hard and then take a break where you don't do nothing for maybe 1 or 2 weeks. This is my personal favorite. So what have we learned from this whole situation here? Well, you can work really hard and get absolutely nowhere. In fact, a year before I released that app development course and the game development course, I released another course for free on something called Bliptv, which was basically a better version of YouTube, as in that it paid more than YouTube at the time. And I think I made about 20 bucks. So I didn't think tutorials were profitable at all. In fact, I was making more from my games than I was from the tutorials. But then at the end of 2011, a small site known as Udemy came up in my feed and I decided to make a course for that. And from those connections, I decided to make more courses and get onto these deal sites to make even more passive income. And the rest is history. Basically, my business has made more money year over year, except for 1 year since that time. And as a small business owner, I couldn't be happier because if you make more money year over year, that's a really good thing. In fact, our Kickstarter that was released just a month ago, which you can see here, was the best Kickstarter we have ever done in the company's history. So just remember that you can be working really hard for a long period of time and get absolutely nowhere, and then one day magically all the dominoes just fall down in place. In fact, Jordan Belfort, the same guy from The Wolf of Wall Street, has pretty much said the same thing. sometimes you can be making money, then one day all of a sudden you're incredibly rich. So the moral of the story is that success is a wheel and you always have to be turning. In fact, if you don't do this, if you don't continually push the wheel, you will probably end up less happier than you were before. In fact, I was pretty unhappy in the 18 months prior to that $14,000 check. But once I got it, I was a lot happier, and after that, if I didn't work as hard, I actually wasn't as happy. So the thing is that for me, I do like working because it does make me happy, and if I start to slack off too much, I end up getting unhappy. And this can happen to you, and it can pretty much happen to anyone. Remember that if you produce something for a living, that is really awesome, and if you can make money producing things, that's even better. So in conclusion, I had a great time making $14,000 of passive income in 1 month, but the lead up to that passive income was fairly grueling. Alright, so that concludes this video. I want to make sure that you like and subscribe. The more likes and subscribers we get, the more content we can make. Have you ever had a situation where you've made some extra money passively? I want to hear it down below. And remember that this channel doesn't do a Patreon, instead we sell our digital products down below. The more we get for the content that you buy below, the more content we can make, especially the free content on this channel. If you really like this channel and you really like my company, Mammoth Interactive, you can subscribe to Mammoth Interactive's huge library of content. We release 20 to 60 hours of fresh new content per month every single month. We have a monthly option and a yearly option. It really helps out this channel and my company, Mammoth Interactive, when you subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video.